For your patience, Ben Okri would like to apologize. The concierge at the hotel was very long to call a taxi and everything, so he really apologizes. He was ready on time, but unfortunately, and then traffic in Lyon, as I told you. But we are very pleased and honored to welcome Ben Okri today at the École Normale Supérieure. As some of you know, Ben Okri's words and images have been my daily companions for the last 8 months, and a great source of joy as well. And so I'm very happy today to be able to introduce you to the man behind the words and images. So as I told Ben Okri, everybody in the audience today has read, and for some of them, reread The Famished Road. and they know about your work as well. So I won't start with this interview with a conventional, presentation, biographical presentation and list of your publications, because everybody knows that already. And instead, I've decided to present a brief, oblique portrait of you by quoting your own words.
Did you say bleak? Oh, okay.
I hope it won't be bleak. And by quoting from 3 texts which I have found relevant to the context of our conference today and which could be food for thought. So the first one is taken from a stoku from Tales of Freedom, entitled The Unseen Kingdom. So it's a collection of short pieces published in 2009. And this is how the stoku starts. There is a fair which takes place in the south of France, where books are treated like roses. Writers are rarely invited to attend. Books are displayed on long tables with their pages open. The books scent the air with gentle dreams. There is indeed a mysterious mood about the place, a dawn-coloured enchantment on account of the open books. So I chose this passage because some of the words in this passage remind me of the mood and atmosphere of the Famished Road, and these are words that we have been using today. Words like dreams, mysterious, enchantment, open. I also like the image of the books displayed with open pages, as this is the vision we've had today of people with the Famished Road open in front of them and treating the book, I hope, like a rose. Then the second text that I have selected is taken from your collection of essays, A Time for New Dreams, and it's entitled Plato's Dream. And it's a text about the universities of the future, where the universities of the future that should teach the art of self-discovery. And among other subjects, you refer to the activities of reading. And I'm quoting you, "On the whole, people do not actually read what is in front of them. They read what is already inside them. And so you argue that readers should, I quote, see what is there and not there, to hear what is said and not said." And you add, I quote, "True reading is not just passing your eyes over words on a page or even understanding what is being read. True reading is a creative act. It means seeing first and then a subsequent act of the imagination." And again, I thought that was a very valid program for everybody today, for us as readers, students and colleagues, who I think should read any text with an open mind, not from narrow theoretical grids, but with an open mind. And that reminded me of a quote by our common friend, Julian Barnes, in Flaubert's Parrot, when he writes, I quote, "If all your responses to a book have already been duplicated and expanded upon by a professional critic, then what point is there to your reading? Only that it's yours." And I think this is a message that we can send to students here and encourage students to have their own reading of the Famished Road, maybe with a little help from what our speakers today suggested, but still having your own reading. Finally, my third quote is taken from Astonishing the Gods, and I've already told Ben Okri that was my favorite book of his. This is his 4th novel, published in 1995. And in this novel, an invisible man goes through the gates of a mysterious city and describes the universities there as places for self-perfection, where, I quote, everyone taught everyone else. All were teachers, all were students. The sages listened more than they talked, and when they talked, it was to ask questions that would engage endless generations in profound and perpetual discovery. Again, that image particularly appealed to me, as this is also how I personally consider places of higher education, places where I learn as much as I teach, places where it's maybe more important to ask questions than to give answers. Now, this is not to say, however, that our questions will be more important than your answers, not at all. Far from it. Actually, we're particularly pleased to welcome you today because of the many questions that we'd like to raise, the many issues we'd like to discuss in relation to your writing, and in particular to the Famish Road. So the way this will be organized, Catherine Pesso-Miquel and I will ask Ben Okri a certain number of questions. Ben Okri will also read halfway through our questions, and we'll also have time for questions from the floor, of course. So my first question is related to something we talked about yesterday. We talked about a lot of writers yesterday, and particularly about Jane Austen. And you said at some point you can't write about Africa like Jane Austen. Therefore, you said that you needed to adapt your mode of writing to the place that you were writing about. You need to find a specific tone, a specific narrative voice, specific mode to write about that place. So, how would you define that mode of writing? How do you write about Africa?
Well, before I start to answer that question, I really want to say how much of a pleasure it is to be here. I've heard so much about this place. It's its history, its formation, and its place in French culture. That it's a real thrill and a real challenge to be here. It's my first time in Lyon, and again another place I've heard a lot about. And it's a very beautiful place. I went walking through the market today, and it's, when I go to a new place, I tend to do two things. I tend to go to its museums and